A function y is equal to e to the power x. Let's talk about the domain and range of this function. So domain is the valid, all the possible valid values of x the x can take, that is the domain, and range is uh, the possible values of y that the function will take because of those values of x. So here we can see the x can be anything real, so x is any real value, and similarly y is also any real value because there is no restriction. Now we need to find the inverse function of this function. So what we do is we write like this, e to the power y, so y becomes log e x. Now this is the inverse function. Now we want to find the domain and range of the inverse function, that means this function, inverse function of the original function. So here we see that x has to be, x cannot be less than 0, so it has to be greater than 0. It cannot be negative or it cannot be 0, it has to be greater than 0. And y takes any real value basically, because if x is a fraction, say 0.5, y becomes negative, so y is any real value. So that is the domain here, and that one is the range here. Similarly, if we look at another function, y is equal to x plus 1, we want to find the inverse function of this one, the inverse of this function. So we write x is equal to y plus 1, so y plus 1 is equal to 1 over x, so y is equal to 1 over x minus 1. So this is our inverse function. Now we want to find the domain and range of this function. So domain, we can see that x cannot be 0, because if x is 0 here, the 1 over 0, that becomes indeterminate, so x cannot be 0, and so domain is x cannot be 0 or anything else, any other real value basically. But range y is basically, it can take any real value because there is no restriction, any real value. I'm just so yeah, y can take any real value. If x is say a negative value, so then it becomes less than 1, or if it is a fraction, it becomes negative. If it is a positive, if x is a fraction, then we know that 1 over the fraction, it will be more than 1, so that will be a positive value. And if x is a positive value, it will be so the thing is that it can take any real value.